A year of change. 1907. The year is 1907, a year that would be marked by significant events and transformations across the globe. A new century was underway, full of promise and possibility. The dawn of the 20th century brought with it a sense of optimism and a belief in the power of human ingenuity. The world was changing rapidly, with new inventions and ideas emerging all the time. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, transforming societies and economies. Early automobiles began to populate the streets, symbolizing progress and the relentless march of technology. In the United States, a new state, Oklahoma, joined the Union. This addition marked a significant expansion of the nation, reflecting the ongoing growth and development of the American frontier. Across the Atlantic, women in England marched for their right to vote in the Mud March. This was a pivotal moment in the suffrage movement, as women bravely took to the streets to demand equality and the right to participate in the democratic process. Tragedy struck Jamaica with a devastating earthquake. The natural disaster caused widespread destruction and loss of life, highlighting the vulnerability of communities to the forces of nature. But amidst these events, a financial storm was brewing, one that would shake the foundations of the global economy. The financial markets were in turmoil, with uncertainty and fear spreading among investors and bankers alike. This is the story of the Panic of 1907, a pivotal year in financial history. The panic was triggered by a series of events that exposed the fragility of the financial system and the dangers of unregulated speculation. It is a story of unbridled speculation, financial fragility, and the extraordinary efforts taken to avert disaster. The panic saw banks and financial institutions on the brink of collapse, with desperate measures taken to restore confidence and stability. And it is a story that continues to resonate today, offering valuable lessons about the interconnectedness of the global economy and the importance of sound financial regulation. The events of 1907 serve as a reminder of the need for vigilance and oversight in the financial sector. The year 1907 was a time of great change and upheaval. Societies were in transition, moving from old ways of life to new modern realities. The changes were both exciting and unsettling as people navigated the challenges and opportunities of a rapidly evolving world. The world was on the cusp of the modern era, and the seeds of both progress and turmoil were being sown. Technological advancements promised a brighter future, while social upheavals signaled the need for reform and adaptation. In this tumultuous environment, the stage was set for a financial crisis that would expose the vulnerabilities of the existing system and pave the way for a new era of financial regulation. The lessons learned from the Panic of 1907 would shape the future of financial oversight and economic policy, ensuring that such a crisis would not be repeated. The early 1900s were a time of rapid economic growth in the United States. Cities were expanding, and new technologies were emerging at a breakneck pace. The country was on the cusp of modernity, and the promise of a prosperous future seemed within reach for many. The Second Industrial Revolution was in full swing, with new industries like steel, oil, and railroads transforming the American landscape. Factories were springing up across the nation, and the demand for raw materials was skyrocketing. This era marked a significant shift from an agrarian economy to an industrial powerhouse. This economic boom was fueled by lax credit conditions and a wave of speculative investment. Banks were more than willing to lend money, and investors were eager to take advantage of the seemingly endless opportunities. The stock market became a playground for those looking to make a quick fortune. Investors, eager to get rich quick, poured money into the stock market, driving prices to unsustainable levels. The excitement was palpable, and the belief that the market would continue to rise indefinitely was widespread. This speculative bubble was growing larger by the day. This speculative frenzy was particularly evident in the copper market, where the price of copper soared due to rising demand from the burgeoning electrical industry. Copper was essential for the new electrical infrastructure, and its value seemed destined to keep climbing. Among the key players in this market was F. Augustus Heinze, a brash and ambitious mining magnate who had amassed a fortune in the Montana copper mines. Heinze was a larger-than-life character, known for his audacity and willingness to take risks that others would shy away from. Heinze was known for his bold and risky business dealings, and his latest venture, the United Copper Company, was no exception. He had a vision of dominating the copper market, and he pursued it with relentless determination. His confidence was infectious, and many investors were drawn to his ambitious plans. The company was formed through a series of mergers and acquisitions, and its stock price had been steadily rising on speculation that Heinze would corner the copper market. Investors believed that Heinze's aggressive strategies would pay off, and they were willing to bet heavily on his success. The stage was set for a dramatic turn of events, as the calm before the storm was about to give way to a financial tempest that would shake the foundations of the market. F. Augustus Heinze, a flamboyant figure in the mining world, had a plan. Known for his audacious and often risky ventures, Heinze was a man who thrived on the edge of possibility. His ambition knew no bounds, and he was determined to make his mark on the copper industry. He believed he could corner the market on copper, driving up the price and reaping enormous profits. Heinze's vision was grandiose. He saw himself as the master of the copper universe, controlling the flow of this precious metal and dictating its value on the global stage. His tool in this endeavor was the United Copper Company, a sprawling conglomerate assembled through a series of mergers and acquisitions. Heinze meticulously built this empire, bringing together various mining operations under one powerful umbrella. The United Copper Company was his brainchild, a testament to his business acumen and relentless drive. Heinze's plan hinged on manipulating the stock of United Copper, artificially inflating its value before dumping his shares at the peak. He orchestrated a complex scheme involving a network of brokers and financiers, all working in concert to create the illusion of unstoppable growth. The stock prices soared, and Heinze's confidence grew with each passing day. He believed that by controlling a large enough portion of the available shares, he could dictate the market price. Heinze's strategy was bold, relying on the assumption that he could outmaneuver other investors and maintain his grip on the market. He envisioned a future where he held the reins of the copper industry, a king in his own right. However, Heinze had underestimated the risks involved in such a brazen maneuver. The financial world is fraught with unpredictability, and Heinze's overconfidence blinded him to the potential pitfalls. The market's reaction was not as he had anticipated, and cracks began to appear in his grand plan. The market for copper was not as easily manipulated as Heinze had anticipated. Other investors, sensing an opportunity, began to push back, and the delicate balance Heinze had created started to unravel. The stock prices, once soaring, began to fluctuate wildly, and the stability Heinze had counted on was nowhere to be found. His attempt to corner the market backfired spectacularly, leading to a collapse in the price of United Copper stock. The once promising venture turned into a nightmare, as the value of the shares plummeted. Investors who had once been eager to ride the wave of Heinze's success now found themselves in a state of panic. This sudden and dramatic decline sent shockwaves through the already jittery financial markets. The ripple effects of Heinze's failed gamble were felt far and wide, causing a cascade of financial turmoil. The Copper King's dream had turned into a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the perils of overreaching ambition in the volatile world of finance. The collapse of United Copper triggered a domino effect across the New York Stock Exchange. As the price of United Copper plummeted, investors who had borrowed heavily to buy the stock faced margin calls, demanding they put up more money to cover their losses. Unable to meet these demands, many were forced to sell their shares, further depressing the market. Fear and uncertainty gripped Wall Street. Rumors spread like wildfire, and investors began to question the solvency of banks and trust companies that had lent heavily to speculators. Lines formed outside banks as depositors, panicked by the news, rushed to withdraw their savings. The financial system, already strained by the speculative bubble, began to buckle under the pressure. The stage was set for a full-blown financial panic, one that would test the limits of the existing financial order. Section 5. The Trust Companies Crumble. At the heart of the panic of 1907 was a relatively new type of financial institution, the trust company. Trust companies, unlike traditional banks, were not subject to the same strict regulations. They were allowed to engage in riskier investments, including lending to stock market speculators. One such trust company, the Knickerbocker Trust Company, had become deeply entangled in Heinze's web of speculation. When Heinze's scheme unraveled, the Knickerbocker found itself holding a large amount of worthless United Copper stock. As news of the Knickerbocker's troubles spread, depositors panicked. Fearing that the trust company would collapse, they rushed to withdraw their savings. The Knickerbocker, unable to meet the surge in withdrawals, was forced to close its doors. This failure triggered a run on other trust companies, further deepening the financial crisis. In the midst of the financial chaos, J.P. Morgan stepped in. His leadership and vast resources became a beacon of hope. Morgan orchestrated a series of meetings with the nation's top bankers, convincing them to pool their resources to stabilize the banks. It was a bold move and well, it worked. His intervention was crucial in preventing a complete collapse of the financial system. Once the immediate crisis was averted, the focus shifted to rebuilding. Banks began to reopen, and confidence slowly returned to the market. The economy, though bruised, started its path to recovery. It was a time of reflection and learning, as the nation sought to understand the root causes of the panic and prevent future occurrences. The Panic of 1907 made it clear that the United States needed a central banking system. In response, the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913, establishing the Federal Reserve. This new institution was designed to provide a safer, more flexible, and more stable monetary and financial system. It marked a significant transformation in how the nation's economy was managed. The events of 1907 taught us many valuable lessons. It highlighted the importance of having a central banking system and the need for regulatory oversight. It also showed the power of decisive leadership in times of crisis. As we look back, we see how these lessons have shaped our modern financial landscape, ensuring greater stability and resilience for the future.